Another day, another SUV, but this is the RS Q8 and it is unlike any other SUV that I have driven. No, it's not just a standard Q8 with a more powerful engine. In fact, there's very little here that resonates with the standard Q8. Now you might be thinking the standard Q8 is plenty fast. You know, it's got that nice V6 engine, it looks very good, it gets all creature comforts and it costs almost half of this. So has Audi gone mad? Well, simple answer, yes. Yes, it has, but in a very, very good way because this is phenomenal. The RS Q8 is currently the fastest SUV to go around the Nurburgring, and what that means is that this is an SUV that handles like it isn't an SUV. The 4-liter twin-turbo V8 pumps out 592 bhp and 800 Nm of torque, exactly like its cousin the RS7, which is also sleeker, looks just as striking and is also Rs 14 lakh cheaper. So it does bear the question, why would you pay extra for this? Now all said and done, in India there are two things that trend really fast. First of course is sibling rivalry and second are SUVs, but don't discount the RS Q8 due to its proportions. That's what I did and I was so wrong because this thing is absolutely bang on. You see, despite its track record at the Nurburgring, I was expecting some body roll, you know, some understeer. It's a given with a car this size that you're going to have that. So if it did, I wouldn't have been disappointed, but it genuinely doesn't. You are so surprised when you show it some corners. There's none of that understeer, there's no body roll. It is virtually flat and stable. It's amazing the way this thing drives. Let's talk about 0 to 100, 3.8 seconds in a car that you can seat 5 people, big boot space, all creature comforts. There really is nothing here that is a miss. You can genuinely take this to the track with the kids and a dog and still manage to come back with a trophy. It's that good. A lot of this is thanks to all the wizardry that happens beneath the sculpted sharp body. To begin with, you have air suspension on the RS Q8, but unlike the standard version, on this it is tweaked and is sportier. Then there is the optional active roll stabilisation and sport rear differential, and yes, they are just as impressive as they sound. So if you're buying one, tick on these boxes. It all helps to keep this massive tank composed and sharp in the corners. Now at the core of the RS Q8 is of course performance. Now that comes from the 4-liter twin-turbo V8. Now that is a gem of an engine. We just love it so much. It loves to rev. It has that raucous note when you step on the accelerator. It has that typical V8 burble that is just so addictive. You really enjoy revving this car hard. What it also gets are of course driving modes. Now you get your standard driving modes, comfort, dynamic, eco. But what you also get on this RS, of course, are the RS modes, like we've also seen on the RS7. RS1 and RS2, RS2 being the most naughty one. That's a mode that I don't think a lot of customers are gonna get out of because it just makes the exhaust louder, suspension firmer, the whole car feels nice and tight. It is just so much more sportier when you leave it in RS2. What the RS Q8 also gets is a 48-volt battery that makes it a mild hybrid. Now people always are complaining that German cars are serious and boring, but seriously, think about it. A 592 bhp twin-turbo V8 mild hybrid, that is as funny as they get. Speaking of corners, the RS Q8 also gets rear wheel steering as standard. Now that is there to help you maneuver this massive 2.3-ton SUV easily, and it does help a lot. Even though you won't notice the system at work, it comes in handy, especially when you'll be chasing your friend, probably in his R8. Firstly, you won't be too far off, and secondly, you just might get ahead thanks to all this tech and do it in more comfort than him, because the ride quality on the RS Q8 is seriously impressive as well. I mean, you expect this kind of an SUV to have a jarring, bone-crashing, firm ride, but it doesn't. Even with these massive wheels, the sport suspension, you still get a nice supple ride, and that is very impressive. It allows you to take it on bad roads, well, slightly bad roads, not too much. It's not a Land Cruiser or a Range Rover, so don't expect that. But you definitely get a lot more comfort than you would with an RS7 or even any other super sedan or super SUV, and that is what makes it very, very appealing. And how can we miss the legendary Quattro all-wheel drive system? Year on year, it is a better version of what it was, and with this, it really is the best right now. Alright, I'm sold on the way it drives. You have that explosive performance and it definitely is worthy of that fastest SUV tag. But what about vanity? You see, you pay that kind of money, you want something that wows you, and before you think, oh, this is too subtle, trust me, go and look at one in person. These wide haunches, the massive air intakes, this all black grille with the RS logo, it's all very striking. You really don't miss out on any of the drama that you get on other super SUVs or even super sedans. The profile is even more bonkers with these 23-inch wheels. Yes, you heard it right, 23-inch. Then there's the hunkered down roof and minimalistic but aggressive lines on the body that add to that angry and aggressive character. At the back, it is a light show with this beautiful tail lamp that stretches from end to end. The interior too is worthy of the price. You see, when you aren't hammering the RS Q8 around, there's just so much to cocoon you with all that luxury. First, of course, are these superb seats. Now, these are sports seats, not like the leather seats that you get on the standard Q8. And you would expect them to be firm and, hard, but that's not the case. These are nice and supple, very supportive. It's got bolstering in the right places. They really hold you tight when you are attacking the RS Q8 in corners. Then you have this lovely steering wheel, typical RS steering wheel, flat bottom, lots of red stitching, very sporty, very nice to grab. You also get RS modes which are configurable, so if you're driving around in comfort mode and stumble upon an empty stretch, you need not park the car and call a hacker to set the car up. Just press the RS button and you have all the settings ready. The exhaust gets louder, the suspension firms up and the engine gearbox sharpen up as well. Then you have the instrument cluster, again fully digital, typical of high-end Audis, very highly customizable. You can have your acceleration data, lap timer. I don't know when you'll use that, but it is there. Then of course you have a map that can be fully programmed into it using the navigation. And overall it is a very, very high-tech sort of cabin, very driver-focused and very, very good to look at. Next, you have the center console. Again, typical Audi, this is a 2 crore plus car, so everything you touch feels plush and premium. All these buttons, well, there aren't too many, and that can be a glitch because you have to take your eyes off the road if you have to adjust even the temperature, but again, not a big problem. Of course, you have to have a sunroof if you have an SUV in India. This one has a massive panoramic sunroof, lets in a lot of light and air, so it's a very, very plush place to be. There really is no trade-off when it comes to luxury and performance, and you get that feel that Audi hasn't really stripped out anything to make this car faster, and that is very, very appealing. The backseat too is spacious and comfy, and you can actually spend long hours in this. There is enough width for 3 people, there is enough legroom for tall adults, and the roof that seems to be low and sloping is vastly misleading. There's plenty of headroom back here. Of course, I'm sure most of the owners would be in the front, but knowing that you could use this as a chauffeur-driven vehicle is a big plus. And that's the main reason to buy the RS Q8 over the RS7 or in fact any other super sedan. You do away with that butt-clenching ground clearance but get just as much drama, all the performance, all the practicality and of course all the luxury. So if you ask me, the RS Q8 is a very, very serious contender if you're looking for a performance car. Never mind the SUV bit, this thing is absolutely mental. Summing up the RS Q8 then is not difficult at all. Think of it as a supercar that doesn't have to worry about the road conditions, that doesn't have to worry about scraping the speed bumps, and one that isn't restricted to the same boring supercar route in your city. You can actually take it out, find that hidden gem of a road and use all the high-tech science to drive it the way it's supposed to be driven. SUVs like these are last vestiges before electrification takes over, so it's very important to want them, look at them, listen to them, and of course, drive them.